announced that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is going to come to Washington and do a joint session of Congress at the invitation of the Republican Speaker of the House. Many people are saying this is a rebuttal of your arguments about negotiations with Iran, or the possible deal with Iran. Do you think it's appropriate for him to come in this manner at this time to Washington?
Well, I'll let Mr. Boehner answer that, and Mr. Netanyahu. I speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu all the time. We're declining to meet with him. I'm declining to meet with him simply because our general policy is we don't meet with any world leader 2 weeks before their election.
Yeah, he speaks with them all the time. Absolutely. With his foot up on the desk for the photographers to take pictures of the soles of his feet to shop around the Arab world and show the disrespect that he showed once before with a picture like that. Caroline Glick joins us, senior contributing editor of the Jerusalem Post, former advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu. And Caroline, welcome back.
Great to be on your show again, Steve.
Yeah, always great to talk to you. Okay, so do you buy this this anger, this reaction to the invite by Boehner for the Prime Minister that there's going to be a price to pay, I'm not going to meet with him, blah, 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 all because it's in proximity to the Israeli election?
No, of course not. It's a bold-faced lie. I mean, if the United States wasn't interested, or the Obama administration wasn't interested in interfering in the Israeli elections, then the Obama 2012 campaign director, field campaign director, Jeremy Byrd, would not be here right now with several other senior former Obama senior staffers running a campaign to overthrow Netanyahu.
Well, you know, and this whole thing is about the distaste for Israel, and many say for Jews, that Obama exhibits over and over again. But it's also about propping up Iran. Israel showed, Channel 2 in Israel showed the imagery taken by Israel satellites, the missile-related sites that Iran continues to build, the ballistic missile capabilities that could, if they got a nuke, that could hit the United States. And just in the last few days, I mean, in the last few days, you have the Hezbollah killing of the Israeli soldiers. That's an Iran-backed group, of course. And you have now the Iranian news agency putting crosshairs on Benjamin Netanyahu's children and urging people to kill them. And yet this president in our country here still loves Iran. They could do no wrong.
Yeah, I think that's, I read somewhere, I don't know who to attribute it to, but somebody very wise said, I think today, that the only people in the entire world who don't realize that Iran is at war against America are the Americans, and particularly the American government. Iran is the greatest force for instability, terrorism, mayhem, and other, and jihad in the world. And everywhere they are empowered, you have chaos, you have destabilization, you have violence, you have murder. And yet, rather than recognize this, the United States is enabling Iran to expand, build an empire in the region, and develop global reach, both geographically in terms of their reach into Latin America, and of course from an armaments perspective with their development of ICBMs that are capable of attacking the United States, and their development of nuclear warheads.
Let me ask you about the Democrats and, of course, Senator Menendez, especially from the state of New Jersey. He had been at the forefront. Reportedly, he got into a heated argument with Obama at the White House. He was going to go all out on these sanctions. He wasn't going to listen to the president. He was going to lead the charge to pass the sanctions. And all of a sudden, Menendez reportedly and many of the Democrats have backed off, and they're going to give Obama what he wants. They're going to lay low for a while. Why do you think that change occurred?
Well, I think that at the end of the day, first of all, I think that Robert Menendez has shown extraordinary leadership to date. I think he's also under an extraordinary amount of pressure from the White House, and has been for the past several years, both during his tenure as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and now as the ranking Democratic member of it. And I think that to the extent he's been able to, he has tried to shirk this pressure in whatever form it's coming to him from the White House. And I don't want to second guess why it is that what sort of pressures have been brought to bear, but it's obvious that the White House is coming down like a wall of bricks on every Democrat who tries to question what they're doing with Iran, even though it's endangering U.S. national security and its most fundamental interests. I mean, look, Iran's Houthi Yemenite proxy forces, the Houthis, just took over Yemen. Now, Yemen sits athwart the Gulf of Aden, which controls the outlet to the sea, to the Arabian Sea from the Red Sea. And you have, on the other hand, I'm sorry, I was just looking at my wall map. And on the other hand, they already have control of the Straits of Hormuz, which controls all the maritime traffic from the Persian Gulf. And so, they now control all of the oil flows through water from Arabia to the rest of the world. And nobody seems to have a problem with that. This is a huge, 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 huge deal. And it's a huge strategic setback for the United States and the rest of the world. And nobody's talking about it. So, we're having a situation where America's most fundamental interests in the world are being challenged by Iran, and yet the White House is enabling this to happen. And I think that the reason why the White House was so panicked by the concept of Prime Minister Netanyahu coming to Washington and speaking to the Congress about the threat that Iran poses to global security generally and to U.S. national security specifically, is that he would prove that this basic anchor of America's foreign policy of enabling Iran's expansion of its power and development of nuclear weapons and delivery systems to deploy them and use them worldwide. I think that the very notion of having somebody being able to come and speak coherently to both houses of Congress and through them to the American people is very frightening, because the only way that they know how to win a debate is to silence their critics, as we see them doing, apparently, with people like Senator Menendez.
We have less than a minute, Caroline. Let me just ask you, do you expect any change? Do you think there's any possibility that Netanyahu will decide not to come?
I really don't know. I don't think so. For the past 4 days, he's been talking about the need to go to Washington and to make these statements that he plans to make in every single public appearance that he's given. All of the events in the Golan Heights with the Hezbollah and Lebanese and the Iranians operating there against Israel point to the fact that it's absolutely necessary for Israel's national security for him to do so. And so I don't anticipate a change.
All right. Caroline Glick, always great to talk to you. Check out CarolineGlick.com, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you. And coming up next, folks, the Malzberg panel. Don't go away.
A bipartisan group of senators are pushing to end travel restrictions to Cuba. I'm Olga Villaverde, and this story tops your Newsmax Now update. 8 senators announced the legislation on Capitol Hill this afternoon. They say ending travel restrictions would help foster change in Cuba. Also on Capitol Hill today, the Senate agrees to end debate on the Keystone XL pipeline bill. 9 Democrats supported ending the debate, including Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Claire McCaskill of Missouri. Code Pink protesters interrupt an Armed Services Committee hearing, but Chairman John McCain had a very clear message for them. He said, quote, "Get out of here, you low-life scum," before thanking former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. And finally, in Mexico City, conflicting reports after a deadly explosion at a children's hospital. The mayor says 2 people are dead, while Reuters reports 7. A truck was apparently delivering natural gas when something just went terribly wrong. And that's your Newsmax Now update. I'm Olga Villaverde. More coming your way in about 30 minutes. We'll see you then.